designer?
For any designer starting out in the industry, the first advice, and which is very key, is for the designer to take learning serious. Like learn the basics, learn the foundation, because if your foundation is solid, others are going to just go smoothly. You just like using when you're building a house as a use case. If the foundation is not good, the
Mm.
house is eventually going to collapse. So take learning seriously, like learn the foundations, um, the basics of design, all of this foundation. Then, if you are good with that, continuous practice is the key.
Mm.
Like sometimes, like on my Twitter, I see a lot of amazing, wonderful designs, and I just save it, like so I can probably take one or two from there and learn. And I pretty much love the industry we are because you keep learning till you hang your boots. So yeah, so that's the advice I'm going to give any newbie or new designer coming into the
Awesome.
space.
Awesome. I love that. I hope that people are, I hope that everybody is enjoying this. I hope that they are starting to tune in. We're live now officially on all of the platforms. So I want to thank you so, so much for coming on our show here today. If you can, go ahead and maybe just tell us who you are, what you do. We'd love to get to know you.
Okay, yeah. My name is Akorede J, Ayanbisi, or you can call me AJ for short. I'm a product designer. I currently work at Lotsky, where I work on design systems, product design, and anything design in general. Lotsky is the open source portfolio manager that protects, users' privacy. So that's the adventure I'm currently, doing, and it's been good so far.
Awesome. Very cool. What does your day to day usually look like? Like, are you mostly in designs? Are you mostly in meetings? I always like to figure out, like, what does it look like for different people? Because it's so different for everybody.
Yeah, so I wouldn't say I have like a daily routine. It depends, right? Depending on the days of the week. But I think I have like a regular routine where I wake up as early as 6 a.m. Have my shower, do little workouts just to energize the body,
Uh-huh.
and I make sure I'm pretty much set for my morning stand-ups by 9. Once the morning once I'm done with the morning stand up, I get into work, and two thereabouts, I have my lunch. Then by 5, I close from work. So past 5, if I have other design engagement I have to do, or side gig that I have on my hand, I can now you know put in those time into doing them. Then on some days I go to the gym, just to stay fit. And nights for thereabouts. If I have like free time on my schedule, I go on TikTok, I
Of
tweet,
course.
I Netflix, just relax then before the next circle begins the next day.
That's good. Having hobbies like that is always very important to be able to wind down. It's always funny how where everybody's so remote and so online that like we go from one screen to a little screen and then we've got a big
Yeah.
screen in the background too. Our lives are just all screens nowadays, but not a bad thing. I really like that you said too that sometimes if you have external engagements outside of work, and I think freelancers, of course, are a huge industry and a huge audience right now that's currently on X or Twitter. So how do
Yeah.
you usually go about getting freelancer opportunities at work? Like what do you usually do, and what's some advice you could give to other folks?
Yeah, so when it comes to freelancing, I have my own strategy, and I think my strategy came from a place of business. I don't see myself as a freelancer; I see myself as a business person, right? And if you see yourself as a business person, you'd want to do something different from other people, from other businesses, and these businesses are other freelancers, right? So you know people are looking for opportunities out there, reaching out, code emailing companies, founders, companies, right? And for me, what I do is this. I pretty much, brainstorm about, like, just do my research about the company, look at, what I can improve in the products, the value I can render, then um, probably a UI UX issue, and I'm able to like design, bring up my solution or my value. Then I use that to now code email, the company or the founder to say, oh, okay, I did this, I did that, and I feel with this, um, whoever is receiving the code email would want to like invest their time in it because, oh, they can see value, right? this
Yeah.
person took out their time to do something, bring in value. And I think with that, there'll be bias, right? The person would want to like place me above other
Of course.
freelancers because so it's just a mind game, right? And like I said, probably because I'm business oriented, so I always think about, oh, how can I make my business better than others? How can I outsmart? So that's sort of the way I sort of get leads or get opportunities out there. Yeah,
That's awesome. I really love that too, especially because it allows you to practice so many things too, and practice on so many different companies and different things too.
exactly.
That's awesome. Very cool. Thank you very much for sharing your elite strategy. I hope that other people are listening, but not too many other people. So you were able to keep your clients there. But whatever you do, I think will keep you separate. I really like that a lot too. So thank you for sharing the strategy here. If you had to point to maybe any core beliefs or experiences that have shaped you the most as a designer, what would you say are those beliefs?
I think the first one that I mentioned earlier was practicing. Like I practice a lot, and I'm very open-minded, right? Someone that just started in design, if they share their work, I'm open-minded to see what I can learn from that, right? Practicing a lot, and also just be open-minded. So I think those two core beliefs have kept me going, and yeah, it has kept me going and made me gather more knowledge in the space.
Awesome. I love that too. And I think that that goes to show from your experience too, because you've had experience in so many different industries too. And I think that that's a big thing, because especially considering like you have sort of taken yourself and almost like removed yourself as like, oh, I'm only a product designer for B2B companies, or I'm only a product designer for Web3. But you're like, I'll try it all. Like, let me
Yeah.
try all these different ones and see. And I know you said it earlier too, but if you could maybe tell the folks that are listening in, what are your favorite industries to do design for?
Yeah, my favorite industries are fintech, Web3, and now I'm tuning into the AI space, and also I work in the real estate sector. So yes, so those are the industry. And for me, the reason why I love fintech and Web3 so much is because I have a degree in finance. That's what I studied in university, and I think because of that, I love working in any fintech space. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's very cool. I'm happy that you're able to do something with your degree, because I feel like
Yeah.
so many times there are so many people that are like, I got my degree in this and I'm doing like something completely different too. So it's always fun when you're able
Yeah.
to keep it together too. So congratulations on that. My
Thank you
last
so
little
much.
question, of course, my last little question for you here is if you could maybe point to like one thing to be your inspiration when it comes to design, who or what would that be for you?
Yeah, when it comes to individuals, I like there are a lot of individuals that I draw inspiration um, from their work ethics or work the way they push our work. There are a lot of them on X that I look up to every day. They inspire me. And when it comes to things, nature, like nature is a
Mm.
major inspiration. Like sometimes when I'm driving home or I'm walking down, my streets, and I could just see something that inspires, one or two designs, and I implement them in my work. And yeah, nature pretty much, and couple of other, designers that share amazing work out there.
I I love that. Big community inspirations, big nat I think nature, that's the first time that I've ever heard that on this show. So, and I love that so much because I think that it's such a underrated thing that
Yeah,
people often take for granted. So I love that you're able to recognize that and use that in your work too. So thank you for sharing.
no
Um,
problem.
awesome. Well, those were my first questions for you here. We're moving into a segment now that I like to call overrated or underrated, where I'm going to throw you some terms, maybe some fonts, different
Okay,
like brands, and you can tell me if you think that they're overrated or underrated.
okay.
So we'll start off easy with a few fonts. The first font is Inter. Do you think Inter is overrated or underrated?
Um, I think it's in between. I don't think anybody out there underrates Inter. And for me, I think that's one of the best fonts out there when it comes to readability, legibility, and yeah, Inter. I think it's just there.
You're like, there's a reason it's the designer's favorite font, right now at
Yeah.
least. Awesome. The next font I have for you is Papyrus. Do you think Papyrus is overrated or underrated?
I think is overrated.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's my opinion.
Of course, that's exactly what we're here to find out, and I'm happy that you're sharing it. And another font that I have for you is Times New Roman. Do you think Times New Roman is overrated or underrated?
So, Time New Roman has been there for ages. I think in the early days. So I wouldn't say it's overrated because we used it a lot back in the day. So, yeah. So it's just there. It's not overrated. It's not underrated.
I like that, just there, because whenever I think of Times New Roman, I just immediately think of like schoolwork, and I'm like, oh, I
Yeah.
don't want that. And every time I see it, I'm like, no, it's taking me back. I don't want to see that. So yeah, it's
Not,
just there. That's
yeah.
a good way to talk about it.
It's, it's not glacial. So, you just think about the past.
I love that. I love that. Awesome. The next term I have for you is design systems. Do you think design systems are overrated or underrated?
They are underrated. Um, Design system are one of the most valuable, components of designing a product, a successful product from end to end. So I think everybody, not I think, everybody must, learn more about design system, how to use it, and how to use it to, scale up their workflow.
I love that. And a follow up question I have for you on this one too, because this has been something I've seen discussed a lot in the design system space, is do
Okay.
you think a component library is a design system? Because I've seen some people say it's not, it's just a component library, it needs documentation, all these other things. And some people also say like it is, like it's helping for the goal of a design system, which is consistency and reusability. So what do you think?
So design system is okay. Let me put it this way: component library is not a design system, but it's part of a design system. I think it's like the major, component of a design system, right? So what makes up the design system is your component library, down to your style guide, to the documentation, to tokenization, and also the code itself. Because design system are not just built by designers; it's collaboration between designers and developers. If the designs you've made in your component library hasn't been implemented into code yet, and documentation has not been written on it, how not to use it, where not to use it, right? I don't think your design system is up to date. But when you are building a design system, you start off with component library, and it's a gather process. It's not something that you just do one day. As you are building your products, you are building your design system, you're updating. So yeah,
Awesome. I appreciate that. And thank you for sharing too, because I think so often that topic is so ambiguous almost. Like, no, there's
yeah,
not a lot of like structured definition to a lot of the parts too. So I really like that you broke it down for us here today. So thank you very much. Um,
welcome.
I've got a few other questions that I'm really excited to ask you. This first one here is, what are the main things to consider about designing for Web3 and crypto? So when you are designing for this specific industry, like what are the things that you always have to keep in mind?
Yeah, so the first thing for Web3 is when you're designing for Web3, you need to first understand the industry, right? It's totally different from other industries that you can see out there.
Yeah.
There are a lot of terminologies, some people call it jargons, but there are a lot of terminologies from seed phrase to, there are a lot of them, right? And if you are coming from a Web2 space to Web3, you'll get lost, right? Because it's like you are entering a different space and you need to unlearn and relearn. So yeah, so the difference between Web3 and the crypto space and other spaces, the onboarding. The onboarding is different from, let's take example, fintech. It's totally different. Fintech is a centralized system, while the Web3 is decentralized. Though there are some centralized part of Web3, but it's majorly big on decentralization, where you are your own government, you run your thing, you control your data and stuff. And I think compliance, regulation and compliance. That like even know about Web3 so well. So a lot of countries are climbing down on it. They don't want
Yeah.
Web3, and also regulation and policy. Security also is totally different. And
Hmm.
there are pretty much a lot of things to consider when you're getting to Web3 space. So anyone looking to get into Web3 space, Just do your findings, do your groundwork, read about it, and there are a couple of resources out there to help anyone to get to the space. Yeah.
Awesome. I love that. Yeah, that's a very important consideration too. I hadn't even thought about that of like the international implications of it, of like these countries don't even allow it. So like how are you have to always keep that in mind. That's very interesting. Speaking of that, kind of like taking a step back almost, if you will, what are the best skills that designers can learn and take with them for the rest of their careers, no matter what industry they're in? Like what would you say are the best skills for designers to learn?
So the first one I would recommend is to have a business skill. Right, have a business skill, know how to operate a business, and take yourself as a business, like in your day-to-day activity, operate like your dealings should be in a business-like way. And the other part is to have a problem thinking skill, right?
Mm,
Know how to think about stuff, bring up solutions to them, and um, you know another skill is learning, right? Stay on top of your game, keep learning. Like I said, the reason why I love this industry so much is regardless of the years of experience you have, you keep learning because the tools we use they keep like they get updates every day.
yeah.
The industry you're designing for, their policies, regulation, compliance, coming up every day. So you have to stay up to date in the space. So yeah, I think those are my advice.
Yeah, those are fantastic. I hope that most designers are into it too because they enjoy it and that they enjoy the craft of taking it even further, of being better than they were yesterday too. I love that. I think that's a really great skill to have. And I hope that everybody listening feels inspired by that too. I think that's a very inspirational thing for sure. I'm curious to know too a little bit more about how you think about your relationship with developers because I think so often we see sometimes like designers and developers sometimes think like, oh, we're kind of fighting, we're butting heads, like, but they tend to not realize like, oh, we're building the same thing. So how has the relationship between designers and developers looked like for you over time?
Yeah, like you said, it's always chaos, right? And so for me, when I started design, um, I didn't know, like, I didn't have, idea on how to hand over to the developer. But over
Mm,
time, with my years of experience, now one of the things I do is when I'm starting a new project and I'm building up a component library, one of the things before I start to do, anything, I have a call with the developer with the front end,
mm,
to discuss, to have a discussion. If I have an idea for some components, I ask, we come to an agreement. Oh, should I do it this way? This is my what I'm thinking. At would this be would this be easy for implementation? I sort of consider the developer also to make their work easier because if as a designer I'm making work hard for the developer. So it means the product I'm eventually going to design is still not going to make user experience seamless. So if I want to make the user experience seamless, I should also make it seamless for the developer also. So these are the things that I look into, and also I make sure I provide like documentation where there
mm.
needs to be documentation, annotation. I do like a walkthrough. I make sure the developer understands what he or she needs to do. So yeah, I don't think there are one way approach to this. You just need to find what works for you and the developer in person. So yeah.
I love that. One of my favorite quotes that comes from our CEO, her name is Palin. What she always says is she's always like, designers, you have to remember your first users are developers. Those are the people who are first seeing your designs for the first time. So like
Exactly.
you said, you have to give the documentation, you have to make it so they can understand as well too. And that's like, our big thing is what we love so much is to hear that of like that making that relationship better between designer and developers, I think is fantastic. With that being said, what do you think the future of going from design to development looks like?
Yeah. In recent times, you can see that AI is already in the shape, and we've seen a lot of AI tool that can help you code. I think one is Cursor AI. We have
Okay.
another one, Cloud AI, and looking at the the transition, right, or the future. I mean, I see that a lot of designers would eventually know how to code.
Oh,
And now, there's a new job title coming up in the job market recently. It's called design engineers. And what that means essentially is a product designer with a front end skill, like a
mhm.
product designer that can code. So, companies are now looking for to hire a product designer that can implement those designs that he or she has done, right? So, I think eventually, the designers would have to learn coding or the basics of coding. And I think there's an advice out there. If you don't even want to learn coding, full time, everyone should have the basis of coding, like HTML, a little bit of CSS, and an idea of JavaScript, right? It's really going to help when you're designing products because you are going to design what is implementable. Like like you know that
Yes.
when you're designing this, oh, it's not going to create chaos or hassle for the developer. And for me, I think that's one of the things that have kept me going because I can code in HTML, CSS. My
Yeah.
JavaScript is still like I'm still brushing up on that. So it really like I know how to design, something that I know okay, this developer would easily implement and makes work easy. So I would just advise any designer out there, just take some time off every week just to have a coding knowledge, and also to
Yeah.
the developer. Developers are not also out of this. They should also have basic design knowledge, right?
Yeah.
The principles of designs, like something as little as alignment, contrast. Because sometimes I've had cases where I designed something for a developer to implement, and what the developer sends to me, is totally different. And I'll be like, can't you see this? Like, it can be so annoying. But if the developer had like basic design knowledge, like the
Yeah.
principles of design, he or she will know that okay, this alignment is even not supposed to be this way, right? And if you look at designers, developers that can build stuff without design, you will notice that they like understand these design principles or they have
Yeah.
little basic knowledge of design. So I feel both designers and developers should sort of learn the basics of each other's skill.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I think as we've been talking to more and more people on these interviews too, I've heard a lot more of that of like I think that the roles are going to start blending together. The design engineer, like you mentioned, is something that I've seen discussed so many times too. So that's so interesting that maybe in the future all we'll have our design engineers, folks that
Yeah.
can the folks that can do both, and maybe AI will help with that. How are you currently using AI in your workflows? And if so, like what are some of the tools or things that you're using with it?
Yeah, I use AI almost every day, right? And I use them all, from ChatGPT to Gemini to Cloud to, um, generative image, Mid Journey. There is one
Hmm.
that I found recently from Google, is Image FX. It's pretty much good. Like I use AI, I leverage, these tools because for me, my thinking about this tool is they are not going to take our job, right? They are there to help us work smarter and faster, right? So yeah,
I like that a lot. I've seen AI sometimes in those conversations. 'Cause I think there are so many people that are still a little nervous about it. Of like, hey, wait, why are there AI tools that can create product designs, and why are there AI tools now that are
yeah,
doing better code than I can do? So, you know,
yeah. So to talk about that, I don't think AI can design a product that actually talks to the user. AI does not have these emotions, empathy in it,
mm,
right? You give it a prompt and it just comes up with something. So, for example, and it's a debate a lot of people have been saying online, oh, will AI steal our jobs and all that? So, I'm like, let's use design, for example, and using one of the AI tools out there that can generate UI. If I'm not a designer and I give this AI a prompt to design, let's say, a dashboard, right? And yes, the AI generates the design for me. I will still need to like optimize the design and
yeah,
make changes to it. So if I'm not a designer, I can't be able to do that. So it means I still need a designer to help me,
yeah,
make those changes fine tune. And the same thing as code. You give the AI code, to write, and it gives you the code. Now I don't know how to use any of the code editors. I don't know how to plug it to the backend. I don't like you pretty much
Yeah.
can't do anything. So you still need like developers, designers to use to help you like implement those things. So I don't think AI is going to steal our job. It's just there to make us work smarter and faster.
I
That's
love
just my
that.
opinion.
I love that because I immediately was thinking too. I was like it's such a good point of like, oh, if this AI tool gives me a bunch of code, I'm like, I don't know what to do with this. Like, I don't know what
Exactly.
to where to put this. Like, I'm not a developer. So yeah, that's awesome to know. And I think it goes back to your earlier point too of, designers should start learning a little bit more about coding and about these different
Exactly.
things, and developers should do the same too on the other side. So I like that a lot. Awesome. Well, thank you very, very much. I've got a few rapid fire questions for you here to end off our little interview portion. And then we have my favorite portion where we'll put your design skills to the test. But
Okay.
these questions are meant to just be super quick. So whatever comes to your head first, that's what we're looking for. The
Okay.
first one for you is if you had to guess, how many rectangles have designers created?
Hmm. I think over a zillion.
A zillion. I love that. That's the first time I've ever heard a zillion. That's my favorite number. So thank you very much. We've had answers all the way from like 2 million to infinity, and I think a zillion is my favorite. That's perfect. If you could describe your design to development process using just 3 words, what would those 3 words be?
Hmm. Make it pop.
Make it pop. Okay. That's your design to dev process and a way to make designers cry. The
Exactly.
feedback that will make most designers cry is make it pop,
Make it pop.
make the logo a little bigger. Can we do the logo a little bigger? I love that. I love that. If you could describe your design process using just 1 word, what would that word be?
Um, Brainstorming. Yeah, I think.
Ooh, okay. I like that a lot. I like that.
Yeah.
And then my final question for you: if you could describe yourself using just 1 word, what would that word be?
Consistency. I
Ooh,
think
yeah.
consistency. Keep doing what you know how to do. Yeah,
Yeah, I like that a
consistency.
lot. I like that a lot, especially like I could tell too from when you were talking about your morning routine. I was like, oh, this is like you've got it locked in, you've got it dialed in. You know what you're doing every day you wake up, and I love that. So that's
Yeah.
awesome. Very cool. Thank you very much. Those were all the questions that I had for you here today, and now we are at my favorite segment that I so lovingly call "So You Think You're a Designer," where we put your design skills to the test. To have 2 minutes to recreate the Zeppelin logo using a Microsoft Paint online.
Wow.
So you are welcome. You can open up a new tab. And for everybody who's tuning in, if you want to test it out yourself, the website is just called jspaint.app. And AJ, whenever you have it up, you're more than welcome to share your screen. And I'll start the 2 minute countdown as soon as the first pixel hits the canvas. So you've got some time to pull it up, to get used to everything, to poke around in there too. But it should be all set. Awesome. Okay. Well, we can see it. And again, your 2 minutes will start as soon as the first pixel hits the screen. So take your time. I'll let you know when you've got a minute left, 30 seconds, all of those fun things. But you can also walk us through your process. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing if you want to, or if you're a silent designer, that's okay too.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So, there are a lot of limitations using this tool, but I'm going to try my best. So, can I get started?
Of course. Yeah. Whatever. You're all good.
Okay. So, I
Oh.
think yes, this. Okay. Then I think there is a line in between it.
Oh. Wow.
Okay. Um, okay. I think there is one. Okay. I hope I'm doing the
Th-
right thing.
this is fantastic. This is beautiful so far. 10 out of 10. I'm so excited to see what you to see how it turns out even further. This is amazing.
Hmm. Okay, so I think um, I need to drop the circle. Uh,
And you've got about a minute left. So
okay.
you've got some good time. If you want to do any colors, you can do clouds, you can add a little
All right.
smiley face to it. Everybody loves to add a little smiley face to it.
snappy.
Oh, this is good. Wow. Okay. I've never I would have never known about this the flip or rotate option. And I've seen other designers like yourself be able to do this. And I'm just always impressed by the skills that you got there. This is amazing.
Um, oh no, I think I'm going to use like the pencil for this.
Perfect. Amazing.
Okay, this might not look 100%, but I think I'm just
This
gonna.
is beautiful. And you've still got some time left too. So whatever you want to add, you are more than
Okay,
welcome to.
so I'm taking out this angle.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, I need to be careful.
I always like to ask everybody after they're done, I'm like, if you had to do all of your design work in this tool, could you do it?
I can't. There's a lot of stress. If we're to be in Figma, I'll be done in 30 seconds.
this is
Okay,
this is the beauty of Microsoft Paint is it brings I feel like it brings everybody back to when they first got a computer and they were playing around with it.
yeah.
I like
Ooh,
that. I like that too. You could keep it you could keep it as is whatever you want to do.
I don't know what's happening here. Oh wow. What could be wrong?
And you are almost at time. So whenever you are ready, I will give you, I will let you say, I will let you call it whenever you're finished up. If you want to add something else, please feel free to do so.
Uh,
Oh, the spray paint. Okay. I
the
love
claw
that.
picker isn't working, so I think I need to improvise.
I love the improvisation here. This is fantastic. You're so precise with the lines. This is wonderful. You can always tell who's a designer when I have them on the show, is they are so precise about these things.
So I think I need to let me use the stacker one. Hmm,
I love it.
okay, I think I need to use this here. Oh
I like this a lot. Okay.
then. I hope I'm doing something nice. Yeah.
This is good. This is much better than I could ever do. I love this. Oh, and carrying it onto the tail fin. This is a nice touch, a very nice touch.
Oh no, I think I need to do it the other way around. Yeah, it needs to be the other way around.
Awesome.
Okay,
All
so I think
right. Beautiful. That is beautiful. 10 out of 10. I give you a 10 out of 10. This is fantastic. And I'm very excited to add this to our collection. I want to, I always tell people, I'm like, I want to make a big quilt full of all of the different logos that I've had created on the show. They're so much fun. And I really love it so much. So thank you very much. All, of course, I will ask for you to send that and save it and share it with me later. But for now, you can stop sharing your screen. We can hop back on and we can give a few parting words for all of your fans that are tuned in. We've got over 120 people who are tuned in live right now on Twitter, on X.
amazing.
So if you'd like to leave off everybody with any final words of wisdom, please feel free to do so. This is your time.
Okay, so for everyone watching, um, I want you to keep going. I know the job market right now is crazy, and you're probably looking for opportunity. Just keep going, keep doing the right thing, and like I said earlier, be strategic. Like take yourself as a business. In every dealing that you do, make sure you operate like a business. For every job you are applying to out there, other applicant that you see that have applied to the job, take them as your competitor. Like for example, let's take Pepsi and Coca-Cola for example. You see that they don't do the same thing. Like they have different strategies to win their market share. So when you start to do this, you start to see like changes in how things go from here.
Amazing. Thank you very, very much, AJ. It was a pleasure to get to know you. Thank you for sharing all of your stories, for sharing all of your perspectives, for telling us if you think Inter is overrated or underrated. I really do appreciate it. I had a lot of fun here today. So I want to
Same here
thank you so
too.
much for coming on our show, and for everybody tuning in. Thank you so much for joining us. We try to go live every Wednesday around this time. So if you're free next week, feel free to tune in. We'll be posting more about that too. But I want to
Awesome.
thank you so, so much. And I hope everybody watching and yourself included, AJ, have a wonderful rest of your day and a great rest of your week.
And you too.
All right. Take care, everybody. Have a great rest of your day. Happy
Bye.
Wednesday. Hope you have a great weekend. All
And you too.
right.